Animes that started out with great potential but crashed and burned. I like to say these animes were subjected to the Game of Thrones effect. In this video, I'll discuss some of the issues I had with these animes and what could have been better. But these are just my opinions, please don't burn me at the stake. Also may contain spoilers. Starting off polarizing here, number 10, Death Note. Many would argue that Death Note was a complete anime, and I would say yes, it was. However, was it executed perfectly? No. A lot of people would say the anime should have ended with L's death or sacrifice, and I would say, that's me. I am one of those people. To be honest, I prefer the Death Note live action, and no, not the Netflix one.
What is that?
But the 2006 Japanese live action is what the anime should have been. No extra fluff and no new introductions of characters where nobody really cared about. Sorry Nier, I love you, but L's the OG. L motherfucking Lolliot is him. If you haven't seen the 2006 live action Death Note, definitely give it a watch. While not perfect, it does end in a more reasonable and satisfying conclusion. Even its sequel, L Changed the World, is worth a watch. Number 9, Aldnoah Zero. The first half of this anime was captivating and truly felt like a high risk, high reward, edge of your seat type of anime. Very strong start for a multiple season anime. Unfortunately, the writing took a massive plummet in season 2. Characters that were set up to have major character development actually regressed and basically served no major purpose to the story other than be a mini boss and deterrent for the main cast. Speaking of characters with no development, the main character. The main character Inaho has the personality of a cardboard box, which should have been worked on and have him start to feel some sort of emotion later on in the series. But nope, just negative development for him too. Overall, banger few first episodes that leads to a build up in the first season but goes absolutely nowhere. Music is freaking awesome though. Directed by Sawano Hiroyuki, worth a watch just because of this. Speaking of anime carried by the music, Guilty Crown rolling through at number 9. Again, another anime that suffers the Game of Thrones disease, having awesome world development and plot buildup that just doesn't deliver what it was trying to go for. The main issue I had with the anime was the direction of the main character, Shu. He's your cowardly protagonist who learns that the world is a harsh and cruel place, and if he doesn't harden up, he'll lose everything. And he does, in an actually pretty realistic way, where he starts to become a sort of fascist-like leader that does a lot of morally questionable things, which I really preferred in order to continue his character development. But the issue is his motivation and reasoning of his decisions are inconsistent and frankly not convincing. Music is freaking awesome though, directed by Sawano Hiroyuki, worth a watch just cause of this. One of the more niche animes on this list, but number 7 is Charlotte. A comedic start about a school full of gifted children with special abilities learning to control their powers that takes a serious dark turn. The tone shift in this anime catches you off guard, which really sets the pace and direction of this anime's second half. The character arcs are very well written, especially the main character, Yu. Basically Shu's more intelligent and badass older brother, and if his character development was written correctly. However, this anime falls off because the plot was rushed after Yu's redemption arc. It progressed way too fast to be convincing or relatable. It just felt like a montage of what could have been full episodes stuffed into a very few. This issue could have been resolved if they had more episodes or maybe another season. Number 6, Arame Ga Kill. Do you like animes that subvert your expectations? An anime that kills off characters even faster than the show that did it first? If so, this anime is still probably not for you because this ish is bad. Ultimately just ends with all the characters dead anyway, and there's no real plot, no real point to the story, and it's all just meant for nothing and no real reason for any of this to exist in the first place. But if you enjoy something like that, well then sure, I guess give it a go. But this anime is a tragedy in all aspects of the word. I heard the manga is better, so maybe give that a go instead, but I would avoid this anime at all cost. Up next, number 5, Blue Exorcist. I remember watching this anime with a sense of awe and excitement. I don't even remember feeling anything nor remembering what happened at the end of the anime, probably just the feeling of disappointment. The first half of the anime, season 1 was true to the source material, but then decided to take a left turn and be an anime original. The characters began to deviate from their original motivations and it just all didn't really make any sense. Because of this, the hype for the anime died down dramatically and not a lot of people even know this is gonna be a 5-season anime. Luckily, following the season, went back on track and adapted mostly the manga and basically ignored the entirety of the last half of the previous season. I'll probably give it another chance, but if it breaks my heart, I swear to God, I'm gonna start my Red Pill podcast arc. Hot mess number 4, Sword Art Online. A lot of hot opinions on this anime. Some people swear by this anime because of the light novels. While I agree the series does have its strong seasons, I will only talk about the first where the series hype was at its peak and had the most potential. Virtual world reality was still a fairly fresh concept in the year 2012 when this anime came out, and it captured a lot of positive attention, especially how Sword Art Online introduced the concept of being trapped in a virtual reality with no escape, and death in game meant death in real life. They basically did hardcore World of Warcraft first, except you die in real life too, so like after your character dies, you should just go kill. Could have been an innovative, fresh, refreshing death game / mature fantasy. But midway through the season, they diverted the plot and it became way too focused on the characters' love life. They ditched a lot of interesting plot lines. This anime was honestly like holding in a sneeze the entire time. Unable to scratch an itch. Such a shame. The issue with number 3, Wonder Egg Priority. An extremely interesting and original concept touching on various serious topics including suicide, depression, and the need for human connection. Explored through a fantasy / supernatural dreamlike world, this anime excels in inducing a strong emotional response through relatability and character development, both being the essential plot device used to propel the story forward. In a climactic half of the story, it is revealed why such suicides can happen, and the reasoning behind it is a total cop-out. It lessened the weight of such serious and important topics and just turned the whole concept one-dimensional. Even so, I think this anime is still worth watching because it's still very well produced regarding its animation, artistic style, and vision. It just wasn't executed with the grace it deserved. Number 2, Darling in the Franxx. What an absolute gem that turned into nothing but dirt and gravel. This is one of those animes that starts out dramatic, dark, serious, emotional, tugging at your heartstrings, then just flips a 180 and turns into an unintentional comedy. I mean, look at this disaster.
What is that?
The main issue with Darling was it was trying too hard to be something it wasn't. I understand being inspired by other animes with a similar concept, but not to the point where you start to lose your own identity as a truly creative idea. The dramatic shift in tone and energy from a small farming facility to an epic universal ending apocalypse was jarring to say the least. It just felt like the show didn't know what it wanted to be. Post-apocalyptic setting, a love story, a space odyssey, all could work if it didn't feel like it was doing 180 turns. More time and investment in the characters and story development would have made it more convincing. Shame that every other aspect including the music, animation, character designs was damn excellent, but the writing couldn't meet those standards. And finally, number 1, the anime that inspired this video, The Promised Neverland. I talked about this in my previous video, but it was such a disappointment that it deserves to be mentioned again. This time, let's only talk about season 2 of this anime. It doesn't follow the manga, already a red flag. They literally skipped almost all the important plotlines in the manga and just made one of the characters summarize what happened. This concept of telling, not showing is just lazy writing. There are perhaps instances where it could work, but this was not one of them. Because it left out so much important material for the story, the pacing of the rest of the story was all messed up and felt extremely rushed with random time skips that felt unnecessary. I'd argue the disappointment I felt from this anime was worse than the disappointment I felt from the last season of Game of Thrones. Just another hot mess. Thanks for watching me complain about 10 animes that could have been absolute peak cinema. And to be honest, some of these animes still have a significant chokehold on the culture, so maybe it didn't really need to be changed at all. Anyways, if you made it this far, consider liking and subscribing as it will give me more motivation to make more videos. What animes do you think could have been more than it was? Do you agree with this list? And what types of anime topics would you like to see more of? Let me know. Thanks, bye.